So we're here at RBTE in London. We've been here for a couple of days now, and Gary, what's been really interesting from us, at least at Cradlepoint, has been we've seen that lots of organisations are struggling just generally with making sure that their network infrastructure is flexible enough for them to be able to deliver the business requirements that they have, to be able to innovate, to be able to drive the footfall they need in site. I guess from our point of view, it's been really pleasing that we've had lots of conversations with people where we think there is opportunity. But I think probably the best thing that I've seen out of this is the fact that we've been working together and having joint conversations about where Doddle and Cradlepoint together have been solving those sorts of issues, and it immediately provides a good customer reference point. Interested in your views on that as well.
Yeah, we see exactly the same thing. I think there's an increasing trend in retail towards flexibility and the desire to deploy quickly to where people's customers are. So we've done a lot of work in department stores to deploy almost a concession type model in those department stores, and I think our partners have really valued us being able to land very quickly in those environments and get up and running. And a big part of that is about being able to create a separate network that can run within their infrastructure in a secure manner. And you can see all sorts of use cases for that across retail. And I think we feel that increasingly pop-up retail is going to be a big trend. And again, landing in those different environments, be it shopping centres, be it railway stations, demands network connectivity that you can get up and running quickly, and ideally in a mobile manner rather than a fixed line.
Yeah, fantastic. And what's been particularly pleasing, and again from our point of view, has been that when we're talking to these organisations, Cradlepoint is well known for either providing connectivity when you can't get a fixed line in, when you have a listed building, or you're looking for failover. But what has seemed to have attracted the most attention is not just about that insurance policy of having a cellular connection to go out over. I think 4G is becoming more accepted. But what we're seeing is that our ability to reduce deployment costs. So retailers aren't spending money. They have lots of challenges around where they need to tighten their purse strings. What we're seeing is that our solutions with Remote Connect, being able to manage zero presence deployment and then scalable support, is something that's been really capturing the attention here.
And we've found huge amounts of value in that. So as a business, we're growing outside the UK and growing quite rapidly. One of the things we've found is being able to deploy network connectivity in different territories where maybe there's different mobile standards, different levels of technical skills in the environments we're going into. That remote management capability is vital for us, and I think we see as software grows globally, more and more cloud deployments, it's easier to deploy that stuff globally. That remote management is vital. We couldn't operate as a business with the size of team that we have without it. And I think increasingly people are moving the conversation away from the cost of the hardware unit to the value of the service that is provided.
That's always where it's up there, isn't it? The value. And pick up on what you said there about the move to cloud as well. So I think cloud is generally becoming a lot more accepted. What's interesting, by the way, is that I've seen that 4G still seems to be something that a lot of people don't embrace, and I think a lot of these organisations that we're talking to here, their existing infrastructure network is what's inhibiting them from growing, and just understanding the art of the possible about what's available. So I know there's lots of security concerns. You've got MPLS circuits, broadband circuits, DSL circuits that are going in. We're providing options, opportunities for these organisations to be really flexible, but also secure in providing them as well. So again, I'm not sure if that's resonating with where you are.
Definitely, and I think what part of the shift we've seen as people have moved towards the cloud is an acknowledgement that the reality is nothing is 100% reliable, so even a wired network connection will fail at times. And at that point, you have to design your systems and processes to deal with failure rather than pretend it won't happen. And ultimately then you see 4G as a much more cost-effective solution in a lot of environments, much more flexible for use, and that concern about whether occasionally you will lose signal becomes much less of a problem. And again, that becomes about the benefits of the agility rather than the concerns of the failure that you worry about.
And that's definitely what we're seeing. So yes, we like to sell the insurance policy, the insurance policy around an SLA position of making that 5 nines. I think that is, again, traditionally where we've come from. But it's that whole, yes, resilience, but building into that the value around being able to pounce on an opportunity when you see it. So the ability to pop up in store, specialised concessions, being able to wrap your business model around that as well, around click and collect and providing that as a service as well. I think that organisations just seeing there's a huge amount of value.
Yeah, and definitely. And I think there's also, it's the spectrum of services and devices that you provide allows for that. So the reality is, if you're a big brand operating in a particular territory, you will deal with a flagship and a pop-up in very different ways, from both the availability perspective and how you monetize those environments. And being able to deploy the appropriate technology to make that set of requirements work in that environment is what you want to do. Ideally wrapping it with a management layer that means you manage everything in the same way and get as much commonality as you can. And I think that's where we see things at. And I think increasingly as well, what you start to see is connectivity hubs appearing in these environments that allow you to add more and more devices. So when we talk about the Internet of Things, like real world examples of that are increasing digital touch points in stores needing more content dropped in, and where you can hub those off of kind of reliable network connectivity and drop them in as a solution rather than individual devices, you get real benefit.
Yeah, totally. What's really interesting from our side, when we're talking about IoT, and I know that your solution as a whole would be, I suggest an IoT play, but we've also got digital signs. We're also seeing EPOS need to be connected, guest Wi-Fi. All of these things need a secure or scalable wrap around it. So I feel that I've repeated the phrase ad nauseum for the last 48 hours, which has been resilience, flexibility, scalability. Those three things seem to be what everyone is after, and it's not so much about an investment now to fix a specific need. It's more about what do I need to invest in now to make sure that I'm future-proof for growth in a particular area, but then I'm able to move in line with where the market takes me and respond.
Yeah, and we definitely see, I feel like these things are enablers. None of us are certain about what will happen 12 months down the line. I think we all feel more bandwidth will be required, reliable connections will be required, and I think retailers are starting to get where consumers are at. I walk around with a mobile device in my pocket that knows a lot about me. I walk into a store that's got increasing digital touch points, be it screens, be it magic mirrors, be it Wi-Fi connectivity. I actually want that stuff now to understand me and tell me stuff that's relevant to me as an individual, and I think that's increasingly where consumers are. We've got market leaders like Amazon driving that online. People are starting to expect that in offline experiences, and fundamentally underneath it you need good data connectivity and the ability to join data points to make that experience work.
So we're seeing 4G is getting quicker. It looks like the consumption models are going to become all you can eat. At least the amount of data that you can consume, the cost of that is coming down.
Yeah.
The emergence of 5G is a really exciting area for Cradlepoint.
Yeah.
We're really in the thick of that. But we're not so much talking about 5G, which again I thought we'd be talking more about 5G. That's going to be a 2020 thing. I know in the UK that we've now completed the auctions and the lots.
Yeah.
But 4G is getting faster, and I think we're going to be approaching a place where the wireless WAN is going to become the primary connectivity choice. But what we are providing is options as to how people want to connect. So if there is fibre or copper there, fantastic, we'll take that route. But then we also have these other networks that are already pre-built, that are secure, are resilient, that we're going to be able to provide that level of flexibility for every organisation.
Yeah, and I think, you look in your house now, you use devices at home, very rarely does anyone plug a network cable in, we expect it to be wireless. And I think all we're seeing is that move further down the supply chain in digital connectivity. And again, I think we'll very quickly get to a place where, as you say, it'll be wireless WAN. Why would you actually need a wire? It'll become much more of a specialised use case. And like all these things, perception changes slightly more slowly than reality, and I think we're starting to see leading edge retailers who are rolling out new store estates taking a very different approach from those traditional retailers. And actually the traditional retailers are going to have to catch up, otherwise they won't be able to deliver the experiences that the newer emerging emerging retailers are offering. And I think we feel like there's a couple of key differentiators in retail, depending on the segment you're in, and experiential retail is definitely a differentiator in a lot of retail segments.